Welcome back. You're watching Sports Desk. It was a comeback 5 years in the making for the Philippines after the national men's basketball team went on an inspiring campaign at the 2014 Fiba World Cup. Fast forward to 2019 and Gilas Pilipinas has found its way back to the biggest stage of international basketball. How did Gilas return to the Fiba World Cup in the first place? Let's take a look at November 2017. That's when the Philippines began its journey to the Fiba World Cup. And the team began on a high note as Gilas faced Japan in the first game of the Asian qualifiers. The result, it scored a road win of 77-71 to kick off its campaign. 3 days later, Gilas added another victory to its record, shaking off a slow start to defeat Chinese Taipei 90-83. Now let's take a look at February 2018. The hot start of Gilas was spoiled by Australia in February. The Filipino Cagers fell to the powerhouse team 84-68 on the road. But Gilas bounced back shortly after with a win here at home. They beat Japan again 89-84 to advance to the next round. Now come May, the road to the FIBA World Cup wasn't always smooth sailing for Gilas. The team suffered a huge setback in May when Keeper Ravena was dealt with an 18-month ban by FIBA. Ravena tested positive for substances banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency. Under the ban, Ravena was not allowed to practice and compete in FIBA-sanctioned events. Ravena hopes this will serve as a learning experience for him and for the basketball community.
I am in front of you guys today to take full responsibility of my actions, despite how painful and dreadful it is. I regret taking this pre-workout drink without analyzing and taking extra time to know what its ingredients are.
Now let's take a look at June 2018. The Kraken was unleashed by Gilas on the world stage this month. Junmar Fajardo powered Gilas to a crucial 93-71 win over Kazakhstan, posting 22 points with Andre Blatch chipping in a double-double of 13 points and 11 rebounds. The victory gave Gilas momentum heading into its rematch against the powerhouse Australia. Now what began as a much-awaited rematch turned into chaos. Things got physical between Philippines and Australia on July 2nd, where 13 players got ejected from the game, 9 of them from Gilas. Tensions were already on the rise from the get-go, but it wasn't until the third quarter when it erupted into a brawl. FIBA officials continued the match despite ejections, leaving only 3 Filipino players to finish the game. Gilas eventually lost the match by default, 89-53. FIBA referee Bong Pascual was there when the fistfight occurred. He shared how the mentality of referees is important.
Yung mental preparation about the game. Kasi yun ang mahalaga ngayon sa pagre-referee namin. Number one is dapat, ano ba yung tendency ng isang team? Okay. Yeah. Like Philippines, paano bang maglaro ang Pilipino? Para maglaro ang Australian. Kasi based on my experience, they are both physical players. Okay. Kaya kung ako yan, talagang piprepare ko sa isip ko, konting chipset siya, bang, tatawagan ko yan. Okay. To stop, to escalate talaga.
Paano yung gagawin niya sa trash talking?
Yeah, yung trash talking naman, kasi meron tayo ngayon sa FIBA, we are practicing na when you feel something na tapos narinig mo na, oh, this is unnecessary yung mga salita nila, stop it immediately. Hey, I can hear you. No? Stop it. Next time I will penalize you. That's right.
Gilas faced the consequences of its action in the brawl when FIBA handed out suspensions for 10 players. Gilas head coach Chot Reyes and assistant Jongy Chico were also meted with suspensions and were ordered to pay fines. The SPP was sanctioned as well for the unfortunate incident. You're looking at the full list of suspensions handed out by FIBA. Now let's move on to August and September of 2018. There was a major change that rocked Gilas on September 21st when coach Chot Reyes announced that he will, quote, step aside as head coach. Reyes served as Gilas' mentor from 2012 to 2014, where the country placed second in the FIBA Asia Championship. Reyes returned to head coaching duties in 2016, leading Gilas to gold a year later at the Siaba Championship. SBP later revealed champion PBA mentor Yeng Giao as head coach 1 month after he led Gilas in the 2018 Asian Games in Jakarta. Yao's first FIBA stint as head coach didn't begin well though. Gilas lost to Iran 81-73 as some players were still suspended. But Yao turned an unfamiliar situation in the country's favor with a 92-81 victory over Qatar in a closed-door match. Now, moving on to November and December of 2018, the FIBA World Cup dream was still alive for Gilas in the 5th window of qualifiers, but this was not enough for them to get the job done. Gilas fell to both Kazakhstan, a team it took down in the Asian Games, and Iran right here at home. One big name not present was naturalized player Andrei Vlach, who later said he would be returning for the last 2 games. Now, moving on to the new year, January 2019. With the new year came a tough challenge for Gilas, a must-win situation in the final window of the qualifiers. Gilas hit the ground running early this year, even introducing new and familiar faces like college standout 30 Ravena. The country's FIBA World Cup dreams were still uncertain, but what's sure was that Gilas had to beat both Qatar and Kazakhstan. From there, Gilas had to hope that results in the other groups would be in its favor. Now, in February 2019, with its back against the wall, Gilas was on a mission when it faced Qatar in Doha in February. Gilas boosted its bid for the FIBA World Cup with an 84-46 victory. But it was in the city of Astana where Gilas ultimately booked its ticket to the global showpiece. Andrei Vlach delivered again with 41 points and 13 rebounds in the pivotal qualifiers match, while Jason Castro added 15 points and 3 assists. But the Philippines got some help from our opponents turned friends, South Korea, which scored a come-from-behind 84-72 win against Lebanon that same night. The win of Gilas would not have been enough to qualify since it needed Lebanon, Japan, or Jordan to lose to gain entry. And with those pair of victories, the rest was history for Gilas. Vets Gabe Norwood and Marshall Lassiter recalled the moment when they found out about their much-awaited return.
I was on the bench, I had the best seat in the house, but Scotty Thompson was behind us, just refreshing the score it seemed like every 10 seconds. So we were getting updates on the bench, and we knew with about 2.5 minutes left that Korea had won, and at that point I think we were up by about 13 or 14, so we were getting a little comfortable.
Same with you?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
I found out after the fact. I was just going with the flow. You know, everyone was cheering, so I was celebrating. And I came over and asked Gabe, like, what happened? Did anyone, end up winning? And he told me, so that's when I found out. Every team's going to be tough. You know, you're playing how many 20, 30 best teams in the world, so there is no easy team. But there's always, teams that you'll love to play. USA will be, just to play, But I feel like you just want to get there and show that you win the first game, just come out and compete and hopefully, get a good win.
As long as I'm helpful to the cause, you know what I mean? I don't want to hold us back and make the country take steps backwards in the progression in basketball. And, up until the point that, coaches stop calling, or I personally just feel like I can't give what, somebody else can give, I'm going to keep answering the call.
And that's all we have for tonight. We bring you the last phase of the countdown next week as we look back at the 2014 Gilas campaign and we preview the matches.